Ah, pretty in pink, don't you think? This is going to make a nice gift. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 381 for October the 21st, 2024. And we're moving right along through the month, are we not? Yes, we are. So let's take a look at what I've been working on. I have to say I've not been that productive lately in terms of quilting. I've been doing other things as well, but yeah, a lot of that had to do with the retreat. More about that later. But let's move into what I haven't managed to accomplish so far. If I hit the right button, here we go. Okay, this is a tote bag, yes. Nothing new and astounding about that. But what's different about this tote bag is I actually took an existing in the hoop pattern, altered it so that I could make it into a wine tote bag. And this little tote bag will hold 2 bottles of wine. And I intend to give it as a gift with wine in it, maybe some chocolate, at Christmas time to my hairdresser. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the construction of this bag and how you can take an embroidery file, if you have an embroidery machine, and adapt it to a use that it may not have been intended for, and I'm talking about the pattern. You can get more bang for your buck doing that, I have found. But we'll talk about that on Idiot Quilter tomorrow. And the other thing that I have just recently completed, but it is completed, but it's not completed, is this little wall hanging that measures 22 inches square. This was a kit, and I really don't know for the life of me when I bought the kit or where. I think I may have bought it in Berlin, but no, it wasn't in Berlin, Ohio. Walter said yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, when we talked a little bit about this, that he thought I got it in a place in New Hamburg, Ontario, when we did our little annual early summer jaunt through all of the quilt stores in Western Ontario. And yeah, now that I think about it, I think I did. Of course, anything with maple leaves on it, I'm attracted to, so that's why I bought it. But I've got some other ideas, and I'm going to explore those ideas with you tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. This is just, I don't want a wall hanging because I don't have enough walls. But I would like to develop this into a much bigger project, into a full-size quilt, as a possible quilt of valor quilt. So we'll see how that goes. So that's what I have been up to the last week or so. And like I said, I didn't get a heck of a lot done. I did some things on the embroidery machine that I am preparing as well. Maybe I'll talk about those a little bit more tomorrow too. Yeah, keeping you in suspense here, right? Yeah. Okay, so we know it is past the middle of October. In what, another week and a half or so, we'll hit Halloween. Yeah, and I've already shown you my little decorations throughout my house that I did on the 3D printer and on my embroidery machine. But you know, some people get really elaborate at this time of the year, and they put on great big outdoor displays for Halloween. Very much like Christmas, Halloween now has become, I think, a really big decorating season. People put huge like mazes in their yards for the kids, haunted walks, fun houses. They light up their own homes in, computerized music type video presentations and the whole bit, and they're fascinating to see, and I have to admire those people because they've spent a lot of time and a lot of money doing these things. Well, if you go onto YouTube, you can see examples of what I'm talking about, and this week's video clip of the week is one that has one of these displays, and they do it to the classic Thriller by Michael Jackson. So here's what I'm talking about. This week's YouTube video clip is very fitting for the Halloween season, and I thought people only decorated their houses at Christmas time with these elaborate light shows, but apparently Halloween has even bigger and better ones. And there's a whole series of these on YouTube. They're called the 2024 Halloween Light Show. This one is part 5. It's Michael Jackson's Thriller, which of course is a classic. But if you really like to see what people can do with lighting and with outdoor displays for a special holiday, then these are videos I'm sure you're going to enjoy. I'm always amazed at the amount of time and effort and the technology that must go into creating something like these light displays that are shown here. So if this is something that grabs your fancy, then you're going to want to check out the 2024 Halloween light shows, and they're all in different parts, and I'm not even sure how many parts there are. Well, this one says there's 5 of 5. So yeah, there's at least 5 good ones you can watch, but I'm sure you can find more. Link for it's in the show notes. So you'll find a link for that video, which will also allow you to find connections to other videos with other displays of Halloween grandeur, whatever you want to call it. It's in the show notes, that link. And there's a link for, as there always is, it's sort of a permanent link for Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. We do that every Wednesday, 9 a.m. start time. Come and go as you please. That's Eastern time. And the link for that is in the show notes. And I don't think I need to say anything more about it because I mention it on every one of my videos. Yeah. And I do that not to bore my regular subscribers, but I'm getting new subscribers all the time and they may not know about that. So bear with me, please. Okay, and there are all my past week's video links there as well. So that brings us to what's happening outside today. What's the world looking like? Well, at 7:25 a.m. Eastern time here, and it looks like it might shape up to be a fairly nice day. According to my watch, it is 11 degrees C right now, or that is about 52 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to have a high today of 22, which is pretty good. Yeah, so, you know, it's October, but we're having nice warm weather. It's been a very pleasant October, I think. We've had our chilly spells, but now we're on the rise again. But that's just the, that's just the teaser until the real cold weather settles in. Come November, we'll be getting much, much colder. And but you can see that right now our tree is just starting to turn. They have said that because of the kind of summer we had, the very, very wet summer and that kind of thing, that the trees are not going to be as spectacular in color this fall. But ours are hanging on to their leaves pretty good. We went out for a walk yesterday, and as we were coming up past our neighbor's house, Walter says, "Ooh, their tree is starting to go." And I said, "Yeah, so a few leaves that fall on our lawn, just scoot them over to the neighbor's." And Walter, of course, said, "Well, why do you worry about it? You don't clean them up." No, I don't. I have a philosophy. God put them there. God will take them away. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. No. But anyways, yeah, one morning we'll just get up and, we will have heard heard thump, and all the leaves will just boom off and onto the lawn, which is sad because I really like the trees we have around our property here. And, things look really desolate for quite a few months once the leaves are gone. But anyways, that's what things are looking like today. So it looks like it could be a very nice day. Should get out. Yeah, I have other plans today. Okay. So that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Okay. I ran a retreat on the weekend. My annual or semi-annual, I guess, or biannual, whatever. I do it twice a year. So this was the fall retreat, and it was great. We'll talk more about it in a minute. But one thing that was very apparent is people are not keeping up with technology. Zoom is almost a necessity these days for most of us. That is thanks to the COVID and everything like that. I wish I had shares in the Zoom company. If only I could foresee what this was going to bring, because Zoom, now everybody Zooms. Zoom, 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 zoom. And, yes, new technologies like Zoom or any of the other things we have, like we have new iPhones, the latest ones. We bought new iWatches, the latest ones. There is a learning curve on any new technology, and it's very difficult sometimes to keep up on top of the technology because between upgrades and changes and new programs and new devices, it is very difficult to stay on the cutting edge of everything. When I was younger, I prided myself on the fact that I kept up with the latest technology. I was a techno freak. I still am to a certain degree. I love technology, but it's just it's changing more quickly than ever before. And now with the inclusion of AI in most products, it's becoming, yes, easier to use in one way and not so easy to use in other ways. It can be very, very confusing. However, as an older man, and a lot of the people that subscribe to this channel are older people, we sometimes get overwhelmed with this technology. We should not let the technology control us. We need to control the technology, and that's very important in this day and age, especially with more and more things being programmed with AI. AI is taking over. Just think about I don't want to say it too loud, Alexa, and things like that. If you've got one in the house or one of the other devices that that are so helpful all the time, like Alexa comes up and says to me, "Oh, it looks like you're going to be running out of something," and it tells me what it is. Do you want me to put that in your cart on Amazon? No, I do not. That's just a little too helpful. Apparently there are 3-year-olds going around to these devices saying yes and are racking up thousands of dollars for their parents. Whoa, think about it. Kids aren't afraid of technology. All right, they've grown up with it or are growing up with it. But we older people, it does get a little overwhelming. But there are those who are steadfast about it. I am not going to get a smartphone. I am not going to use electronic banking. I am not going to go paperless billing. All this stuff. Okay? I say, get off the pot. Just get off the pot. This is not the 1950s, and we are not going to return to the 1950s or the 1960s. This is the 21st century. We're well into the 21st century. We're halfway through the second decade of the 21st century. Kind of scary to think about. Progress progresses. It moves on with us or without us. And I would rather be on the train before it leaves the station because I don't want to be left behind. And you can stick to your guns and talk about how you don't need that technology and how that technology is wrecking your world. But the fact is this: we have no say about that. Businesses are using it. Everything today is geared towards this little box that's sitting in front of me and the connection to the internet. It is a necessity, not a luxury item. We have to stay on top of it or we will be left behind. And there is a danger to being left behind in technology. That's when the scammers move in. And they take advantage of people who don't know what they're doing with technology. And yes, it is getting very sophisticated, the technology, all the time. And it is hard to keep up, but we've got to protect ourselves from the scammers. Now, I'm sure there are those out there who are still going to say, fine, I just won't use technology. Good luck with that. Because there isn't anything in your home that doesn't use technology. Your washing machine, even the most basic ones, have a little computer chip in them. Your coffee maker has a computer chip. Your stove, your fridge, your dishwasher have computer chips. Your lights probably have a computer chip in them. Everything in our house, Ring doorbells, the whole bit, everything is computer generated. So unless you are going to move out of where you live now, go into the deepest, darkest woods and live in a log cabin, build a fire to cook food on, go out and hunt your own meat, and all that kind of stuff, you can't avoid it. So you better get with it. And my mother, I'll give you an example of this. My mother would not touch a computer. My father had a computer at one point. He didn't really know what he was doing with it. There were many times when I was on the phone to him trying to help him out, or over at their place trying to help him out. You know, he was one of those, the old joke, when the computer says press any key, the person looks at the keyboard and goes, I don't have a key called any key. That was my dad. Okay. But my mother was worse. My father would try to get her involved with it. Well, he'd say to my mother, why don't you come here and you could do this on the computer or what? She says, no, not going to touch it. It's not my cup of tea. Okay, fine. When my father passed away, when I moved my mother into an apartment and the whole bit, she could barely, and it wasn't because of her age. She was a young woman, really. At the time that she moved into her apartment, she was only in her mid-70s. So, you know, and she could get herself to the hairdresser once a week. And around that, of course, that slowly kind of went downhill as well as my mother became more and more isolated. She was suffering from some depression, I'm pretty sure, with the passing of my father. So there were other contributing factors to that. But my sister got her an iPad, a brand new iPad. I think my sister got it from a guy for a couple of $100 because he won it somewhere. So we set my mother up with it. She wanted something where she could, you know, check the weather. She wasn't talking about doing sophisticated computing or searches and that kind of stuff. So we got this for her and we showed her how to use it. We set up icons that were fairly basic that she, you know, she could just push and there you go. And we had it all charged up. Now we told my mother about recharging it. And we had a little charging station all set up for her and everything to make her life very easy. Every time I went over to the apartment, there the thing was sitting on a coffee table. Battery had run down. And every time I got it charged back up, she'd use it for a minute. When I was there, I'd show her some things, and then she'd just put it away. She wouldn't use it. I said to her one day, Mom, why aren't you using your iPad? You wanted one. We got you one. Well, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. So basically, my mother was being left behind. Luckily for her, I had power of attorney. I did all her banking. I did all her finances. I did everything for her. And maybe that was the problem. If she'd been on her own, if I lived somewhere on the other side of the world or whatever, my sister wasn't around, what would she have done? But she refused to try new things. And of course, those new things were all technology. Even to the point where she had one station on the television and that was what was playing all day. Because she wouldn't even use the remote control. It wasn't because she didn't know how to use the remote control. She didn't want to touch it. And on new television sets, since she had a relatively new one, you basically can't change the channels without the remote control. So, yeah. And then she went in the nursing home and she passed away. So, you know, and her attitude was she didn't need this stuff. She didn't have to do it. She was an old lady. And it was beyond her. It is not. My mother passed away at the age of 81. By today's standards, it's up there, but it's not what it was. You don't have to be old and decrepit. And I really believe a lot of that is mindset. We'll see. I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll change my opinion when I get there. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But I know one thing. As long as I possibly can, I'm going to keep up on the technology. Yes, I won't be able to keep up on top of everything that comes out because there's way too much of it. But the stuff that I need every day, the stuff I need to do, I'm going to learn how to do it. And there's a side benefit to that. It makes you think. It keeps your brain going. And the one thing that slows down as you get older is your brain. And that can lead to, well, death. So, you know, basically, keep up or die. Because that's the only alternative. Cheery note to end on, isn't it? Okay, moving on. Grow lights, what's happening? Nothing. Everything's dead. Speaking of death. Yeah, all the stuff is finally gone off the deck. It's all like bleh. It got hit by cold, by frost. And yeah, we managed to harvest what was left that we could, and it's gone. I think Walter's going out there this week to uproot everything in the pots, and we'll put the pots, away, which means sliding to another part of the deck and covering them up. And, that's where they'll winter until next spring when we get them all out again. It's sad because it looks like crap out there. But hey, it's the cycle of the seasons, at least here in North America and in Canada. So yeah, I have nothing to show you except dirt. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to put in. And I think we're going to do more lettuce. I mean, we do eat a lot of salads these days, as you well know, because I've talked about that. And yeah, we have lost weight on this diet that we're on. Now, yesterday, I know it wasn't an insult. Somebody said, Walter, you're looking really skinny. And I said, and what do I look like? A big fat pig? Well, I don't know. I am a little sturdier built man than Walter. I'm stocky. It runs in my family. Um, you know, my father was a very stocky man, very short. With that, my brother is also very short, stocky. His knuckles drag on the ground. No, not no, not really. But that kind of thing. So yeah, but I have lost weight. I'm telling you that. Trust me. How much? I don't know. But I know that I pretty much figured I was over 200 pounds. And now I know, at least according to the scales at the drugstore, I'm about 186, 187. Yeah, ideally I'd like to be below 160. Don't know if that's going to happen because this health thing we're on right now is a very slow burn with it. So, and maybe that's not a bad thing. But anyways, yep, we need more lettuce because we're running out, grow our own. And I really like making salads from the stuff that we grow. So we'll probably grow some lettuce. We'll probably grow maybe some green onions, basil, of course, because they all do well. Not everything grows under the grow lights well. Like we're not going to do tomatoes. Tomatoes go weird under our grow lights. I mean, if we knew more about them, if we, there's ways to get around that, but we don't. So yeah. And to be honest, it's not worth like the amount you get from our setup. Just buy the tomatoes. Yeah. They're nicer if you grow them yourself. They have a better flavor. But yeah, that's the compromise, I guess. So yeah. So once we get some stuff into the pots, I'll be showing you what's happening there. Okay, so new products. Well, Walter's already bought all his nice fancy new pots, and they are nice pots. I will say that. You wouldn't think a pot makes a whole lot of difference when you're cooking. It does. A nice pot does. But we have those. And then of course, you heard about, I talked about it yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, and I've talked about before my little incident with vinegar on my butcher block cutting boards, and it warped the crap out of them. Who would have known? Who would have thought? Well, we decided we've had those blocks for quite a long time. They're marked up as and stained the way blocks do. So we decided to buy a new one. Walter ordered a bamboo cutting board. I'll show you what that looks like right here, that brown one. It's a very nice board. He spent time oiling it. He got a special oil for it that helps you with, that preserves it. And I guess you had to do 2 coats, and you had to have 24 hours drying time between coats. So he did all of that. And now it looks so nice, I don't want to cut anything on it. And our acrylic white cutting boards that we've had for a long time, and they've got, gouges in them, and they're all stained. So I decided, well, I'd go on Amazon and see what they had. And I bought this set of 3. They weren't expensive, like $19. They're a little thinner, but not much, than the white ones we had. They're about the same size, and they're black. So my theory is, if you've got black ones, you're not going to see food stains, tomato stains, stuff like that on them that don't come out, kind of a thing. Of course, I wash them. So yeah. So anyways, I've used one of them so far, and it's a cutting board. It works fine, but it's protecting our big board. I know it probably sounds stupid to have this big board and not use it. We will use it at times, but right now it's nice and uh pristine looking in the whole bit, and we leave it out. It sits on our counter all the time. It's sort of a work area. So yeah, so that's the new things in the kitchen craze. Um, but we aren't done. And when I say we, I mean Walter. So what's his latest kitchen thing he wants to get? Well, he already has ordered it. He ordered a new set of knives and a knife block as well. We have a knife block. We've had them for years, but they're fairly nice knives. They do the job. They're good, but he wanted even better ones. So, this is his latest thing, and this is what he's doing, and that's fine by me. And given that Walter does most of the cooking, he deserves to have nice tools. Yeah. It's either that, or he's thinking that maybe those knives will be a great little murder weapon. Just saying. Okay. So, let's go to, can I print this 3D effing thing? Gnome baskets. Let's talk about gnome basket. So every year I like to give a little gift to all the ladies that work at Ultimate Sewing, my local quilt store, because they always give me such excellent service. And I like to give things. So I found this 3D print model for making rope trays. And those are always kind of fun. Now, of course, these are made from plastic, but they do look like rope, as you can see. And then I got playing around with gnomes and things that I have, and I merged a gnome with a little, these are actually gnome pin cushions that I've had before, but I've left the pin cushiony part out, and I merged them together into these smaller trays. And my idea is, I ordered a whole bunch of sewing notions as well, that I'm going to put the gnome tray into the bigger rope tray and fill that with little sewing notions as well and do it all up. So it's kind of like a little set of things that you can use in your sewing room or whatever. I think they're kind of cute, and there's something a little different, kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. So I'm hoping that they will like those. And I'll probably put in a little bit of, candy as well, chocolate or something, because who doesn't like getting a little bit of chocolate? And the chocolate that I put in it is usually comes from, always comes from a local family-owned chocolate making business. And so that's the kind of chocolate that I'm putting in. I'm not putting in like a Snickers bar or something like that. So anyways, I think these are kind of fun. But, with 3D printing, one of the things you can do, even if you don't know how to use AutoCAD, and I don't, for designing things from scratch, if you take existing things that are out there and you can very simply merge them or alter them in such a way, just using the basic, what they call slicer program that a few weeks ago I showed you, you can make something that's a little different. Again, it's like thinking outside of the box with what you already have, what you can do with the knowledge you have, how you can alter something to make it into something that's unique. So that's what I've been working with on the 3D printer. And you'll notice these are different colors as well. I'm trying to use up all of my scraps of filament. I've got all kinds of rolls of filament that, don't have enough to do a full project. So on these newer printers I have, resume function is really easy with the sensor, the filament out sensor. So when they run out of that filament, the machine stops and gives me an opportunity to refill it with more filament, and it goes back where it left off and carries on. And that's working out really well. So I have used up a lot of old bits and pieces of filament that I've had for years sitting around here. Now, the one problem is I'm now getting low on filament again, and I'm going to have to put in an order. And I have to put in a major order, like I'm talking a couple of $100 for filament. So yeah, I need to take a look at that probably today and figure that out. How am I going to pay for something like that? I'm not that worried about it, but yeah. But anyways, so yeah, you can use up your bits and pieces with these newer printers now, which is great because less waste. And filament's not particularly cheap. Okay, so that takes me to Blast from the Past, old video clip, back in my card making, paper crafting, scrapbooking days. And this one is I call the Bows and Butterflies card holder and card set. And again, when I was paper crafting, just like now with 3D printing, I'm always thinking about potential things that I can give to people that people would find useful and unique. And that's what I did on this particular video, which was the part of a series, a tutorial series, and it was really my very first attempt at creating a series of videos that taught you step by step how to do things. So here's that video from the past. Okay, the first thing you want to do is make the card holder itself. And I found the best way to remember my measurements was to draw out a template on a piece of paper the exact same size as the piece of double-sided pattern paper that I'm going to use. So I have all these markings on here, and I'm just going to follow it through and show you what to do. So you need to take your 12 by 12 pattern paper, double-sided pattern paper, and cut it 12 inches by 11 inches. Now, double-sided pattern paper works better because it's thicker. So you want to have a holder that has a lot of stability to it. So that's why I recommend double-sided. Also, it looks nice on both sides. So you put down the 11-inch edge at the top, and you're going to score 2 lines from top to bottom. The first line is going to start at 4.5 inches and go right down. And the second line is going at the 6.5-inch mark. Now I'm using a scoreboard for this, which I find is the easiest, but you could do this with just a ruler and a bone folder as well. I also, because this paper is very busy, I like to give it an initial fold when I make these lines so I can find them again as reference points later on. Now you're going to take this whole sheet and you're going to just turn it around and put the you're going to put the 12-inch edge at the top. And here you're going to, and I've already done some pre-scoring here, and I can't find my score marks for the life of me. Just a second, what do I want to do? Oh yeah, okay, there it is. And you want to score right across it. This is the 12-inch edge at 6. And you want to give that a fold as well. And sorry, just one more here. Let me turn the paper around the right way. Okay, it's 6 and at 10.5. I hope I'm not confusing you all to death. Let me review this for you. Put the 12-inch edge up to the top, score it 6 inches right across, score it 10.5 inches right across, then give everything a light fold. So you're going to have a small flap here and a bigger flap here. All right, now you want to turn the whole thing around again and put your 11-inch edge at the top, and you also want to put that part that had the smaller little flap, you want to put that up at the top as well. And now you're going to score 2 more lines, one at 2.25 inches, but this line is only going to go down as far as where you made that 6-inch score a moment ago. So you see, it's only going down this far on the paper. And over on the other side, you're going to do the same thing at 8.75 inches, right down just to that score line. So to review that, 2.25 down, 8.75 down to the 6-inch fold. Now you want to turn your paper all the way around so that you have the 11-inch edge again at the top, but you have that little fold part down here at the bottom. Okay, now you could use your scoreboard for this, but I found it's just as easy, so I'm going to move the scoreboard out of the way. I found it just as easy to make these 2 marks with a ruler and a pen. So in here, if you can visualize this, this is going to be the spine of your book. So from this scored line on the left side of the spine, you're going to mark at the top a 1-inch spot. And just use your ruler for that. I have to find my ruler. And you just measure it, and it'll be 1 inch from that fold over there. And so mark the spot. And you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side of the spine. 1 inch over, mark the spot. Now turn your paper to the left, and here's where we have that 6-inch score line again. You're going to measure from the 6-inch score line up to here, 2 and let me check my measurement again. Yeah, it's going to be 2 1/4 inches. So you'd measure it from that 2 1/4 inches. Just give a little mark there. Just put a faint mark. You can do it. I'm doing it in pen, so it might show up better on here. And at the bottom, again, same thing from that 6-inch line. I hope I'm in frame. I better pull it up. So down here at the bottom, do the same thing. 2 1/4 inches over, mark it. Then you're going to take your pencil, if you wish, or you could do this just on your paper cutter. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to actually draw the line. You're going to draw a line from the top point to that midpoint, and you're going to do the same on the other side. Hope I'm in frame. I am. Okay. Just line it up. Draw the line. Okay. So now we have all of that. What we have to do is do some cutting. All right. So we're going to cut off these 2 points. Now you could use your paper cutter for this, or you can use your scissors, up to you, whatever works best for you. 1. And the other corner. And oops, and they're off. Okay, now what we have, you see, this shape that's coming here. We need to cut along this line. Here's our spine. So we're going to cut along this line up to the outside edge of the spine on this side, and the same on the other side. We're also going to cut this flap that's down here across to the spine on this side and to the spine on this side. So this is where it gets a little tricky. It might be easier if you draw a slight light line when you do this to see it, but I'm going to try. I hope this is in frame. Yeah. And I'm just going to cut it up to the edge of the spine. And I'm going to do the same. This bottom one, it's a little harder to see in this lighting that I've got. Okay. Sometimes you can turn it over and see a little better. Yeah, this is a little lighter. I can see this. So, well, I thought I could see it. You know, you get old, your eyes get really bad. Give it a good crease. Okay, there, I can see it now. Okay, let's cut that. Just up to the spine. I don't want to go further than that. Again, it would be easier if I kind of lined it up a little bit. Okay, I may be out of the shot with this. I can't really tell. So, to the spine. To the spine. Okay, so I've got everything cut now. Now, using your bone folder, I have to find mine, and it's here. You're going to just give everything a good crease. So we fold it over, put a crease, fold it over, crease it, crease it. A good quality double-sided paper is good for this because, you know, you can get some, and the way they've been printed or whatever, they go against the grain, and then the paper cracks. And that looks like crap. Unless, of course, you like that and you want to call it the distressed look and tell people that's what you meant. Okay, and let's not forget this one here. All right. Now we're going to apply our two-sided tape for this. So I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to go off camera for a minute, and I'm going to come back and show you where to place that tape. Okay, let's talk about the placement of your score tape. Score tape holds better than most things, but I'm using a combination of both score tape and a permanent Tombow tape runner as well. Now you need to decide before anything else which side of your double-sided paper you're going to actually have on the outside of your box. And I like this pattern. And by the way, before I forget, when I was showing you in the last segment how to fold up the box, I missed two flaps. And that's these two right in here. Okay. Now, where do I put my score tape? Okay, so this is going to be the outside of my box. So, and I've already peeled the stripping off of this, but there's going to be a piece along this edge of this flap and a piece along this edge. And I'm using 1/8 of an inch. I think you could probably use up to 1/4 of an inch. That would be fine. But I'm also having a little trouble. I actually, let you know a little secret. I taped this segment a moment ago and I couldn't get the stupid thing to stick down. I don't know what's wrong with my score tape. Maybe it's drying out or whatever. So just to reinforce it, to make sure everything works, I'm going to use my tape runner as well on this. So what you're going to do is, I'll just show you before I glue it down, is this piece goes on the inside here. And this is going to come over and fold down and hopefully glue. So that means I need glue. I'm going to put a little glue down on this flap with the tape runner. I've already peeled off the stuff for my for my score tape. And just going to bring it up and make it flush with the edge. And then I'm going to add a little more of this here. And this already had score tape up here on it as well. Okay, and fold that over. And hopefully everything will stick down. Now, if you notice, here on the edge, I made that flush with the edge. That's how I knew. And this is going to be a little higher than this piece that's here. Don't worry about that. All right, just to make sure everything's sticking down, I'm just going to put it up here on its side, and I'm just going to varnish it with my bone folder. All right. Now, one thing I forgot to show you is where I put score tape on the back side. So there's a piece along this flap in here, and so if you think of this, if you turn it over, so on the flap, on the back side of the flap, it's going to be folded in. There's a piece there. There's a piece along this edge. There's a piece along this edge. Okay, so now we're going to do this other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to reinforce it with a little bit from my tape runner. I don't want to go too high up here because part of this will stick over the edge and then we'll have glue all over the place. So pull it up, get it lined up with that, fold that piece down, and let's varnish it. Really, if you make enough of these things, it gets better. I haven't made enough of them yet. So here we go. We got the base down here. Now, I've got two pieces of score tape on the inside of here, and unlike most women, I don't have fingernails for getting this stuff off. So I use my little pointy tool here and peel them off that way. So sort of my fingernails for this. And then you're going to take this piece and you're going to fold it in. But I've also got a piece of score tape in here to stick it down there. So I'm going to take the score tape off this edge and take off the score tape on this edge. Okay, you see what I mean about not having fingernails? It can be a real problem. Okay, let's try this again. Bear with me, I will get it. All right, there we go, got it. Okay, get that piece off me. Now, I want to give them another little crease in there, but carefully don't stick the score tape down. And then they get tucked inside here. Bring them up, make them flush with the edge, and then varnish it. There goes my clock in the background. You know, I made sure I turned off my email so I wouldn't get my warning on that. I had a timer because I got some bread in the oven, and I turned that off and hoped the phone wouldn't ring during this, but yeah, of course, the clock. All right, there we go. Okay. So you just shape it around, and there, you've got your little box all ready to go. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to embellish this box. And so What happened in the past week? Well, of course, the big thing of the week was on Saturday, I did my annual fall retreat, virtual retreat. We had about 80 people there. Um, I was very happy with the way things turned out. People have sent me some very nice thank you emails to both Walter and myself, because Walter was part of this too. It's always nice to know that all the work I put into these, and I put a lot of work into doing the retreats, um, that people appreciate it. Um, I do it because I enjoy doing it. I'm an organizer, and this is right up my alley. And I have a lot of fun doing it, and I like the fact I give prizes as well. And I also like the fact that it doesn't cost anybody. The only person it costs anybody anything is me, and that's okay. All right. Um, it will always be free. I will never charge for it. And I'm also happy to say that everybody knows about my blacklist. I only had two individuals that I put on the blacklist this time. That's good. That's really good. Now, I've had a few people give me some excuses. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, you can read my face. Okay, so yeah, it was great. If you were one of the people that were there, and if you enjoyed it, I'm very happy. That makes me very happy that you did. Will there be another virtual retreat? Yes, there will be in the spring. When? I don't know yet. Actually, I have a very busy spring coming up this year, so I will have to fit it in to my time slot then. So when we get into the new year, that's when I'll start my planning. Actually, I've already started my planning. I usually start 6 months ahead because, getting guest speakers and everything like that is, has there's a time thing that you have to deal with. So, yeah, but there will be one in the spring. Okay. And that's about it. So, what's coming up? Okay. People have already started asking me, when's the next pop up sew day? I'm thinking the first Saturday of November, which would be November the 2nd. I am thinking that is not written in stone yet. I will probably make the decision next week once I see how my calendar is filling out. And I will be posting the links. Would that be next week? Let's see. What week is Halloween? It's the 30th. I know it's the 31st. Let's see. Today is what? The 21st. So this coming weekend is, let's see, working backwards. 27th. Yeah, so yeah. It'll probably be next week that I will, if I'm having it, I will post the links next week in all of my videos for you. Yeah. Tentatively. Okay. So you just know in advance that that's probably when it's going to be. You will know for sure next week. Okay, so I think that's got me today. Do check out Idiot Quilter tomorrow, where I'll go into my projects and things in much more detail. And on Friday, the next part of our Stephen Makes a Shirt series, with Walter teaching me how to make one of these lovely creations. And this is Walter's latest shirt he made for me, the kitty fabric. I love it. Absolutely love the colors in it, the whole bit. Figured out how many shirts Walter has made me over the last couple of years since he's been doing this. 15. He's made me 15 shirts. He's also made another 17 shirts, like for him and for other things. So, no, 17? Yeah, we worked it out yesterday. It's something like, it works out to something like about 28. He's made about 28 shirts or so over the time he started doing it. And he started making shirts about 3 years ago. Don't know. Time flies when you're getting lovely creations like this. And so now I'm hoping that I will have success in making a shirt as well, because then I can make some of my own too. But anyways, this coming week, we're doing something with the yokes and shoulder seams and something like that. So yeah, Well, there's still many more steps to go in making a shirt. So if you're following us, that's what's coming up. And that'll be out on Friday. And then, of course, Stephen and Walter live, as usual, 4 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. So I hope you have a great week. I've got a big project I got to get on with and get done, and I got to get started on it today. So without further ado, I'm going to say adieu. Have a good week. Bye for now.